Good morning. My name is Cynthia Zimmer. I am Kern County's District Attorney. I have information about Orrin and Orson West, the two young boys who were reported missing from California City 14 months ago. On December 21st of 2020, Orrin was 4 years old and Orson was 3 years old. Their adoptive parents in California City, Trezell West and Jacqueline West, reported to the California City Police Department that the boys had disappeared from their backyard. The California City Police Department began a search for the boys in the area around their home. After a period of time, the FBI joined in the search, as did the California Highway Patrol and search and rescue from the Kern County Sheriff's Department. The community also came out to assist in looking for the boys, but to no avail. They were not located. 1 week later, crucial information came to light that necessitated the involvement of the Bakersfield Police Department and the Kern County District Attorney's Office. Law enforcement worked diligently, hundreds of hours in the next 12 months, looking for the boys. This morning, I'm saddened to announce that the investigation has revealed that Orrin and Orson West are deceased. The investigation has also revealed that they died 3 months before their adoptive parents reported them missing. However, I am pleased to announce that this week, the Kern County Grand Jury indicted Trezell and Jacqueline West, the adoptive parents, for the murder of Orrin and Orson West. The indictment charges 5 counts. The first count is murder. Charges them both with murder, with the victim being Orrin West. The second count charges murder, with the victim being Orson West. The third count charges felony child abuse against the person of Orrin West. The fourth count charges child abuse against the person of Orson West. And the fifth count charges false report of an emergency. Naturally, the first 2 counts carry the most time in state prison, murder. It is charged as murder in the second degree. That carries 15 years to life, but with 2 victims, the potential penalty, or the maximum possible penalty, if convicted, is 30 years to life for each defendant, Trezell and Jacqueline West. Now, the grand jury indictment is a formal charging document, and we followed a process in charging them before the grand jury, and that was the district attorney requested that the grand jury convene to hear evidence regarding an indictment that we presented them. The district attorney's office then presented information to the grand jury, and the grand jury found there was sufficient evidence to hold Trezell and Jacqueline West responsible for these murders, and they returned what was called a true bill. So oftentimes we call it they were indicted, but what they did is return a true bill on the indictment. Department 1 Superior Court judge issued warrants for the arrest of the defendants, and they were arrested last night at about 7 p.m. in Kern County.
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. Today, I'd like to start by wishing everyone a pleasant and lovely weekend, a blessed weekend. I'd love to thank all my subscribers for all the time, the support, the patience. I love my subscribers like family members. We have decent, professional discussions, comments. We try and stick to the facts, and we try and be mindful towards the victims' loved ones and the victims as much as we can. Every human being will end up speculating at certain times. That is especially when there's not enough information that law enforcement can give us, which I completely understand, because they have to make sure that they keep everything close to the vest so that the evidence and nothing is tampered with, and so that everyone can have their fair share of trial in court. And the decision will be made by the jury and the judge with plenty of evidence. If not, it becomes a hung jury, and what law enforcement have been working for, the main thing to get justice for these victims, doesn't happen. We as YouTube family or YouTube community, we are mostly here for the main good reason, and that is to get justice for the families of missing, murdered, domestic violence victims who are suffering, innocent victims. Victims are usually innocent. Either they're unfortunately in a wrong place at a wrong time, or they're deliberately targeted and attacked by someone they know. Sometimes, not very often, a stranger. Unless it's a random robbery or something, nobody just gets targeted unless you're in a really rough neighborhood, which is possible too. But I guess these days, people have lack of patience. There's a lot of burglary, a lot of theft, fraudsters, everything going on. So obviously, crime rates go up. But in the long run and in the short long run, I believe that we should personally be thankful to God and to law enforcement for keeping us safe while we are at home, on our computers, on our laptops, on iPads, watching TV, spending time with our family, working night shift. The people that are keeping us safe are law enforcement. I'm sure there's one or two rotten apples in each and every branch, whether it's in as a therapist, as there are some practitioners, mostly that do their job for the right reason, and that is to look after the people who are suffering of mental health illness. Just like law enforcement, they do their job to investigate and find out who committed the crime and then hand it over to the criminal justice and see what happens there. So I believe that I would love to start by thanking law enforcement for many important cases that, although law enforcement got criticized for by many YouTubers, a good example would be the case of baby Quinton from Savannah a couple of months ago. We know exactly what happened with YouTubers getting arrested and getting into law and enforcement is way to do their job. And I think that was a failure because once you have the FBI involved in a case, I mean, like literally involved, like the Idaho Moscow murders, and like Trizelle and Jacqueline West from California, the missing two California boys, Orrin, 4 years old, and Austin, 3 years old, Cynthia and Classic. Pettis was their original names before Trizelle and Jacqueline adopted them. This was a case that took 12 months to solve before these two evil foster adoptive parents went and adopted two beautiful children and kept the whole world in stress with where those two innocent souls could be. I felt sorry for the boy's mother because there's always someone, some family or someone that people usually attack, and in this case it was Ryan Dean, the boys' mother, and I always stood up for Ryan. I really respect Ryan because she took all the heat while she was searching for her sons. She wasn't the guilty one. Her children were taken from her by CPS in Los Angeles for whatever confidential reasons. There's still, I believe, other ways they could have put her in programs, parenting programs, so that she could be a better mother. They could have given her more carers to help her out. There were so many other ways. I'm not blaming the government, but I believe, just like Summer Wells's case, CPS could have done so much different with certain children that they can see are very vulnerable. Children that they can see, you don't need to be a therapist to see red flags. We all have usually that human instincts, and then we have that parenting instincts. When you notice there's a change in your child, or there's a change in the parent, or in the house well-being. So I believe there were so many red flags from the start with the case of, unfortunately, these two evil people who are luckily arrested. I remember it was on the 21st, I believe, of December 2020, when Trizelle and Jacqueline came out in California City, or basically they called law enforcement. The camera caught them. Law enforcement comes up to, it's like everyone knows California City is a desert. Although many houses and alls have been built there, and I remember it even had that, can't remember what it was, the famous, so where many people went there, they thought they would find gold and such things, and many people bought plots and things there, and it did not work out for them. So many people have plots there, but they don't live there. But it is in the Mojave Desert, so it is really hot. These two shameless human beings, Trizelle, who was 28 years old, just like Brian Christopher Koberger, who is allegedly the suspect arrested for the 4 students who've been killed in Idaho. So Trizelle was the same age, 28. The first red flag that we obviously saw, that he was 28, his wife Jacqueline was 24, I believe. They had 6 children. He had 2 biological children who were 9 and 10 years old. One was close to 11. 2 boys with Jacqueline. And he adopted two boys who were around 9 and 10, 10 and 11 too, from he was a foster parent and he adopted those two boys. So he had like four, and then they gave him Orvin and Orson West. It is such a tragic story. It was around the times COVID came out. COVID came out around March 2020, and this happened around December. So the rules was we still had those strict COVID patterns everywhere in the world that we're supposed to follow the government guidelines, and people are going with masks and all. That's another thing that was interesting. They got away with this whole interview, looked like a joke. It's so heartbreaking that those two children would never come back again. But they came like two idiots saying that it was cold. It was cold. He said, it was cold. I went to get some wood. I went inside. My wife was standing inside in the kitchen, and I saw the boys, and I went out. I got some wood. I came in, and then I did not see the boys. He said, I asked my wife, have you seen the boys? She said, no. I said, okay. And then he said, I went around searching for the boys. My wife searched around too. And then you see the lights in the neighbor's door watch camera. Like you can see the whole video surveillance of the lights turning on and off. You can see either Trezell, I believe, was out in the backyard pretending that he was searching for the two boys. We did not see two boys. There was a lot of dispute about did we see two boys or was it two figures of two boys, and all. A lot of alleged things are going on. So I really don't know, because there were so many things from neighbors. There were so many rumors, so much gossip. There were so many things that were going on. But there were many people, like law enforcement always said, there's somebody who knows. There were many people who knew, but for whatever reasons, whatever motivations, whatever greed, whatever threat, people weren't coming up and telling the truth, obviously. The sad thing is, Ryan Dean, the parents of the two boys, did not get to see or talk to our sons in over than a year. It's just heartbreaking, this whole case. But the case was, this happened in California City, so they had like 12 troopers, very small state with very small law enforcement organization. So this was when online and when YouTube and all came on. So we had many creators going out there, yeah, for whatever reason, making noise with bulldozers, just like in the Gabby's case. I believe that you can get your voice across, I personally believe, without taking a bullhorn. Because let's not forget, law enforcement are there to do their job. Not all of them are bad. Others, our states and our cities and our countries wouldn't be running. So just like going and yelling in a bullhorn, on a bullhorn, in whichever case it is, without naming creators, because in this case there were a lot of creators who were just doing a lot of nonsense, a lot of shows, a lot of dramas. It became more about people's self-ego than about the case itself. So it was very sad. Those times I was not a YouTube creator, so obviously I wasn't uploading anything, but I was always saying something in chats and all. And I could see that it was just such a shame that people became so divided. YouTube creators started fighting. It was all about super chats, it was all about drama. But I always believed deep in my heart, and I was really very motivated, very active on this case with Sincere Classic. What I really believed was law enforcement would get to the bottom of this case. For some reason, I just have that instinct. I know there are many cases that many people in California and those states would say law enforcement hasn't done a good job in, but I would say this is one of the best and quickest reactions. Although it took a year and everyone was scared that they would get away with this, but thank God law enforcement and defense attorney Cynthia Zimmer came out keeping the important things to the vest. That's what I loved. Till today, they haven't told us how exactly the two boys, God bless their soul, how the crime and the act happened. But they told us enough to make us understand, like, public, now we have told you enough, so back off. And everyone was satisfied. Up to today, you hardly hear anyone talking about Trezella and Jacqueline's case. I speak about it now and then because obviously I'm just waiting for the trial to start, and I'm sure many of you are waiting for that too. Those are not one, but those are two antisocial personality disorder people put together. I can imagine how much pain and suffering, mentally, emotionally, and physically, those 6 children were put through, especially the 2 victims, Cynthia and Classic, that is, Orvin and Lawson West. Those 2 little babies suffered because CPS wasn't keeping on a watch. And that is what this case brings me to another case. I wanted to compare 2 cases of how quickly or finally how the updates and the outcome has become. One has had such a beautiful progress. At least they made sure the 2 murderers are out of our communities and our societies where they can hurt babies or children or innocent people again. And that is Trezella and Jacqueline. So I thank California, Bakersfield, California City, especially Chief John, and Bakersfield, and Defense Attorney Cynthia Zimmer, and the judge who signed off to arrest these 2 people. So my point and what I'm heading to is I want to know how come it's been 18 months now and we are still waiting for Tennessee, Rogersville, Hawkins County, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, even their spokesperson, Leslie was her name? Lockhart, the district attorney, the detective of the case, Detective Pruiz, Pruiz, I believe. I'm just waiting for something to actually happen in Summer Wells's case. I don't understand why little Summer is not being recognized and why her parents are not being arrested, just like Trezella and Jacqueline were arrested. Cynthia and Classic, his blood wasn't found or DNA. Their bodies wasn't found. The murder weapon wasn't found. Okay, there were witnesses who spoke. But in Trezella and Candace and Don Wells's case, there are witnesses who've spoken. Because whatever you see on YouTube even is evidence. And let's remember, what's her name? Jody Sue Brown said it live on a live stream. She said that she believes that her partner, Andy, was selling drugs to Dawn, and Dawn was giving it to Candace, and Candace was giving it to all of the 4 children so that she could sedate them for whatever reasons. And there was more that was kind of very nasty to talk about here, and I'm quite mindful, so y'all know where I'm going with that. There was a lot of things that Jody Sue Brown said that is evidence out there. Whether you delete whatever you uploaded, it'll still remain on YouTube. We've heard people who've known Candice and Don personally, one who's dead, God bless his soul, Jose, and we have some who are alive. They may not be the most genuine witness like Allison and Hunter, but some of what they're saying is the truth. Grandma Grandis, Candy Harrow, was under investigation for distributing weed and drugs to children. So it doesn't make sense to me why arrest hasn't been made. It's been 18 months. I don't understand. Is TBI and Sheriff Ronnie Lawson expecting the answers to just land on their laps? Are they trying to say that their community is so decent and honest that somebody will come one day? Until then, it's just going to be a cold case? Because that is the impression I get. When the public goes to Tennessee, which I'm not saying is right, and YouTube creators, the TBI and law enforcement doesn't like that. Then why aren't they giving us updates? Why aren't we seeing anyone being arrested? Law enforcement knows there wasn't any abduction. Candice and Dawn know there hasn't been any abduction. You can clearly see that they're making this whole thing up. There are many motives. Dawn allegedly has a history of SO. We have to think about it in all the ways. It's not about if we are team Dawn and Candice or if we are not team Dawn and Candice. Because some people take it quite personally as soon as Dawn and Candice are mentioned. But that's not the way it is. We are supposed to be honest. In every case, we are supposed to let us see where the lead takes us. So if family is questioned, if a couple is questioned, it is normal. But what I find strange is why hasn't Dawn or Candice been taken to grand jury? When the defense attorney told us that a couple of months ago, he sounded like he was ready for a grand jury, like it was all let's go. But nothing seems to be. I know Rome wasn't built in one day, but I just see like Summer Wells' case, poor girl is not getting the attention it deserves. Without creating drama, we have to, as YouTube creators, I would advise every creator, even if there isn't any information, we need to put up more flyers, demand more answers. Instead of attacking Candice and Dawn, they are anyway banned from YouTube. The 411 is that they're banned from YouTube, they're not allowed to go on YouTube, and I can imagine. Because that just they make law enforcement look bad. Because they're not being arrested and they're just acting like ignorant people on YouTube. And they know obviously if they come on YouTube, Don will end up getting his keys and starting his DUI again and getting arrested. But the question is, where's Summer? It's been a long time. Summer is only us. Let's put Summer Wells' name back. Even the funding and everything that we all gathered together was stopped and was given out for another cause, which I'm sure nobody minds if it's given out for children. But Summer deserves justice. She deserves answers. Because her mother and her father doesn't care. They don't care about any answers. And that has been clear from day one. They need help themselves. They need to go to therapy and build themselves up. I don't think they're going to win much on the boys' case. I heard that gag order is already, I think that case is already done in court, or it should be done soon. Dawn is not allowed to visit the children, and Candice, when she was allowed, she doesn't even bother to go and visit them. It's just such a sad scenario. It's just such a sad story. It shouldn't have come to this, but that little girl, Summer, deserves her justice. We deserve answers to find out what's happened to Summer. If she's alive and she's safe, so be it. That's in fact fantastic news. She just needs rehabilitating and needs to move on. But if she isn't, she needs to be buried in peace, which there is enough chances to believe that Summer isn't around. Although I wish, and my dreams even tell me she's around. With this family, these parents, you don't even know what they're up to. Because their case history just leads you into a deep and serious, dark side. Just reading how much we know facts about Dawn and Candice's case, the 4 children they had together and the 2 children they had separate. That's like 8 children. Dawn is much older than Candice. It doesn't seem like, without being rude or saying anything negative, it doesn't seem like Candice can, I wouldn't say function without Dawn, but she makes herself seem like she can't do much without Dawn. And I think it's Dawn who's made it that way. He's the one who's bringing in the money financially. The house belongs to his father. So all the ties and everything leads up to Dawn being the boss of the family. And I don't think Candice, I think she tried as a parent. You see so many wonderful pictures with her and her children, but something was it that was just the surface. There was an underlying conditioning going on there, a serious one. And there you go, CPS just ignored it. Just like Orrin and Orson West's case. And that is sad. That's terrible. It didn't have to happen. It didn't have to go there. But the question is, what can we learn from these cases? What positive vibes and positive things can we put out for kids, for children, for young adults out there, for the society? Because this society is dying. And it's just sad that even the church ain't standing up for Summer. Summer made that beautiful yellow necklace for Robin, and Robin ain't talking about Summer. It was like Summer never existed. That's the sad thing. Anyway, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. It would help me to spread most of these cases. If there's any cases you all want me to discuss about or to research a bit about, please leave it in the comment, especially something to do with mental health. It really interests me, and since I'm a licensed mental health counselor, those cases would help me because I do a lot of research about them, and since I work in that branch and do therapy, I know a lot about it. So please let me know. I still want to wish everyone a happy new year. Think positive. Life is too short. Let everyone you love know, everyone that you love know